float needles and floats in the SI Carb. And so what happened is I noticed this guy was really stumbling, struggling, flooding, coming off idle, and thought, well, that's kind of weird. And I was actually on my way to the store, got there, got back, took a look at it, and I was like, yeah, this thing is not right. So let me fire it up and show you what it's doing. But first, what I did is to confirm this, I took a paper towel and I just jam it down in here so that it's up underneath the little brass point where it comes in, and you can look and see. Maybe you can tell, maybe you can't, but this thing's pretty well soaked with gasoline. It's only been stuffed in here for a few minutes. Let's pull this thing out. I'm gonna fire it up, and it'll be pretty obvious that something is not right. And you'll see what I'm talking about here as we watch the fuel going into the carburetor mouth. You can also see on the back, let's see. I mean, just tons of crud, and it's not terribly oily. I mean, it's mostly just like gasoline schmutz. So again, another sign, because it's coming out the back of the airbox, that something is not right. Just fire this thing up. You can see what I saw, and then we'll get into the carb and see if we can fix this. So to fix this, what we need to do is get to the float and the needle, which sit inside here within the carburetor. So this is the fuel line coming up. Fuel comes in through this banjo in here. There's a filter around the top, and then it goes down, and the needle and the float sit like this. And so as the fuel level in the bowl, and that's what this part is, falls, the float drops, the needle drops, and the fuel can flow down into the float chamber through to the jets, which are here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna pull this off and take a look, and you can see what I need is I've got a flat blade screwdriver or a 10mm wrench. Because of the angle and everything, I like the wrench. Once we get this off, this is attached to the fuel line. This whole unit can then be removed by unscrewing these two screws, and we can get in there and see what's going on. And this will get a little fuel around just because, well, it's the carburetor, but shouldn't be too bad. Make sure you've turned off your fuel tap before you start on this. See, it's pretty easy. Little bit of fuel coming out. They're not too bad. It's off. It's actually quite easier with sockets, but. And you can see you don't actually have to remove the carburetor to do this. You can do it with the carb in place. And here we go. Here's our float unit. And so we can look at it and try and figure out what's going on. So as I was saying earlier, right? So as the level of the fuel in the bowl falls, this goes down, and then the needle, which is that part right behind my ring finger there, you can see it moving up and down, is that's what's actually doing the work. So let's replace this needle. So we can see we've got this here. It's just a little pin, friction hold. Push him out, like so. Comes out. Here comes my float. Here is my old defective needle. And if you look at it, you can see there's like a real faint white line right there. And that's where the seat was bad. So I got my new needle over here. So here's the new needle. And you can see there's no line. Can we really tell? Yeah, you can tell a little bit. But in any case, so take him. He goes into this slot right here. This then goes back into the float chamber. This needle slides back in. And kind of even up. And it's ready to go back onto the bike. Nothing to it. Definitely nothing to be afraid of. Got back from a test ride with the new needle in it, and you can see the difference in the two videos where it was basically spraying fuel everywhere at just off idle before versus now. And test ride was awesome. Bike is performing like it should, so I'm pretty happy about that. So that is it. That's all you need to know if you think you're having issues with your float or your needle. You've seen how to change it. It's a real simple fix and something that you shouldn't be afraid to take on. And that's like a $5 part for that needle. So you're going to spend more for shipping than you would for the part itself. So happy wrenching, happy riding.